Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Scott Rutter. I'm the president and founder of the New Jersey Cannabis Business Association. I'm very excited to have Wally from Meadow, and it's Wally from Meadow, by the way. That's how he likes to be called, Wally from Meadow, for branding purposes. He's a very much a marketing guy on top of everything else, and a technology guy. But before we introduce Wally and his program and his solutions, I want to say a special thanks to our sponsors. Can't do this without our sponsors. So I'd like to say thank you to Financial Resources Federal Credit Union, Township Green, this wonderful dispensary behind me, HBK CPAs, Burton Trent Public Affairs, Sprague Energy, New Jersey Cannabis Business Association's preferred energy provider, Dutchy, and Proteus at Proteus 420. I never get it right. I try every time. And if anybody's watching this on a regular basis, they're struggling with me here. But at any rate, super excited about our sponsors. Thank you very much. And I'm super excited to introduce everybody to Wally from Meadow. Wally, how are you doing, man?
Good to meet you, Scott. I feel like this meeting was a long time coming. Even with our little pre-meeting, pre-show talk, I am so glad to
In the
be
green
here.
room?
Yeah, exactly. The virtual green room. Big fan of what you guys are doing at New Jersey Cannabis Business Association. Those sort of organizational groups are absolutely, they couldn't be more important in terms of the status of where New Jersey's at in terms of increase your buying power as new retail licensees. We're aware of the space. And yeah, I am very, very happy to be here and to talk compliance and to talk sales channels and all the fun stuff and the serious stuff today.
You know, it's funny because there's nothing fun about compliance and sales channels and all that stuff, but it's one of these, it's so critical, and you have to get it right. My business has been open for 2 months and 4 days, 5 days, 2 months and 4 days, 2 months and 4 days today. And I am always looking for new opportunities to improve myself, to make things more efficient. And as you and I were talking about, there's always solutions out there. So I'm really eager, not just for the crowd here from NJCBA's perspective, but on a personal level, what kind of solutions you're bringing to the table for retailers.
Yeah, and let's get into it. And let's start there because I think that's a really good place to start in terms of where where compliance fits into this conversation. Um, I think there's a lot of it's all whenever I'm talking to new retail licensees, often when we're talking about metric, I think often because it's referred to as a track and trace system, people often think it's these RFID tags like moving around the state, and it's not. Okay, it is, and let me be really clear on this for those new licensees that are in there. Metric is a tool of auditing. It is much more a ledger than it is a system of tracking. And that is where, and what I mean by that, that's why it's so good at auditing is it'll show if Scott, if you have a distro and I got my dispensary, or let's flip it, you have a dispensary, I have a distro and you have your dispensary, I send you 100 edibles. Metric shows if you sold the 100 edibles. But here's the thing and why it's so good at auditing is it's completely open-ended. We like to say at Meadow, it'll let you drive off the cliff. It just takes pictures on the ways down. So that's how it's such a good tool of auditing is because it'll let you sell 100, it'll let you sell 98 of a package, it'll let you sell 150 of the package, and it will never say anything. It will not warn you. It will not tell you, hey, you're doing this wrong. That's not what it's there for. It's there for the CRC to audit you and eventually audit you for the tax structures. So
Right.
that's where I'd like to start because that unfortunately is what we're in charge of as a technology provider. And you know, if we were selling, like I said, sometimes I wish we were selling lattes. The stakes of it wouldn't be such a big deal. But that being said, if you got core system efficacy like us, which we do, can you guys see my deck?
Yep.
We do all of that in the background. We are 100% accurate. I can say that. Look at our reviews. We're the best reviewed software out there. We auto finish all packages inside of Metric, and we're extremely serious. We like to say Max Esdale, the head of our compliance and regulations at Meadow, said we ate our vegetables first, and we did. We really achieved core inventory efficacy and core reporting efficacy before we get into all this cool stuff that we're about to talk about, which is, and all these pictures are all our Meadow clients. We've been in the space since 2014. We're a true tech team. We're built in the Bay. We're very proud of that. All our support is in the Bay. Our entire team is in country. And we were the first cannabis software admitted to Y Combinator, which is a big deal in the tech space. I don't expect you to know that. Some people do, but it's a big deal. We're very proud of that in terms of our tech pedigree. We are a true all-in-one system, okay? And this is what we're going to talk about today. We do in-store, we do your online menu, we can do customer kiosks, we can do floating sales staff. I know that I saw some consultants in the space. I know you guys are clocking that consumption lounge add-on as
Right.
New Jersey comes online. You're actually going to see one of probably the best and most incredible consumption lounge in the country, Pleasure Med. Look it up, Google Pleasure Med in West Hollywood, California. You'll see an incredibly beautiful space. We can do events when you guys get there, and we can do pickup sales from one system. Let me stress this. Most systems do everything from multiple, use this API partner and this software. It's not. Like I said, Scott, if you give me an iPad and you give me a register, I can have you running completely compliant sales, completely accurate reporting, completely accurate tax reporting from a single system. We have loyalty rewards and promo codes. We're going to talk about retention strategies and how what that looks like for operators that are going, because often it's easy to get them in, but we have to keep them coming back in terms of customer retention strategies. We have incredible reporting in terms of sell-through analytics and being able to clock your actual sell-through formulation. I know for some of those, once again, some of those consultants, so I bet some of you guys are doing manual sell-through formulation with spreadsheets. That's not how it works on Meadow. With our velocity analytic functionality, we can cross-reference your sales window and your actual sell date and show you the actual speed of the SKUs. Here's Pleasure Med, incredible two-story consumption lounge and dispensary and restaurant. It's opened just last year. It's absolutely beautiful. If you come out to LA, I'm happy to give a tour. I do that often for some of East Coast operators, to give them a tour of operations, and you can see different store flows, but Pleasure Med's absolutely beautiful. Menu Pro, this is our iframe menu built directly into your website. You own your website. We do not own your website. So it can be a $200 website. It can be a $5,000 website. It's nothing to us either way. And you get our full functionality with pickup, delivery, and dynamic delivery, which is commonly called the ice cream truck model, which we can talk about today. As I alluded to, Scott, I'm actually excited that for the West Coast, because we do have, I know it's a township by township issue. It's a license by license issue. Who's allowing delivery in Jersey? We're going to have some partners running out there. There's a version of doing it well. You do have to do it well. Otherwise, you're just burning gas. But if you do it well, we have geofence delivery built into the system. That all comes with Meadow out of the box. Not everything that I'm talking about comes with Meadow out of the box. This is what I was saying in terms of when we were talking about the labor costs, right? Because that all menus looks really cool. In actual operations, what that means is what we call one inventory, all menus. For a value cost, and in terms of what the system's actually doing, a single action affects all your inventory in Meadow. Okay, and that's a big deal. So if you put something on discount, if you put something on automated discount, one time everywhere, you're online, you're in store, and then we get to the secondary menus, your in-store menu boards, Leafly, weed maps. We do all of that. But the real tough part of that, and this is where you kind of see kind of the proof in the pudding of the system, is the sales. Many systems can do the first part, very few can do the second part. And what I mean by that is, once sales are executed on multiple sales channels, does the inventory remain accurate? Often it does not, unfortunately.
Right.
It's too much going on. It's too much going on. we're one ecosystem. We're one software, and it all runs through us. And we're really proud of that. We put a lot of work into getting there. I'm going to stop here and, chop it. I see, if you have questions as I'm going through stuff, and, talk to me about, some of the challenges you've seen.
Yeah, because that is part of the challenge. Jersey right now is inundated with startups. And people, all these startups, all these dispensary operators who are starting up, they're trying to find, experienced teams, experienced managers, experienced staff. You put things out on Indeed and you start to hope for the best and you start to build your team. I think, one of the big things is looking for that simplistic, one shop stop solution, because, I personally have experienced, having inventory run out almost. I've experienced expiration dates that just sort of surprised me. And I hate that, and so does everybody else that's experiencing that. And so I'm myself been open for 2 months, 2 months and 4 days. And so, I'm also, everybody's on a learning curve, and I get all that, but what people are looking for is the owners, the operators who, are working 7 days a week, 10-hour days, is to not waste their time on nonsensical things, and so they could focus on sales, so they could focus on driving traffic to their stores. And I don't want to worry about if something is going to expire in a week. I should know that a month ahead of time. I should know that 6 weeks ahead of time so that I can start to properly market. So how do you, that solution?
Yeah. I'm so glad you brought this up, because you're hitting like the problem, the challenge. Two things. Let's take the first part first. We have 3 different thresholds in Meadow. Okay, we have 3 different inventory thresholds in Meadow, and as we go forward, and I'll actually, this is a great place to kind of pivot into the system a little bit. We have 3 different thresholds. So what do I mean by that? We can do this in Meadow. We can say, hey, when a SKU runs under 15, okay, pull it off weed maps, please. And when it runs under 10, please pull it off my online menu. Right? And this is the back end of Meadow, everyone. Very clean, very straightforward system, web-enabled from anywhere, so you can access the back end from anywhere. It comes up on mobile. Make sure to check if your system can pull up on mobile. Ours does very easily. Front of the house, we're all iPads. But to what we're talking about, so we can have the threshold there in terms of the actual menu counts, and then we can have a low stock threshold. So when it hits 5, your inventory manager automatically gets an email, low stock. But, in terms of the stopgap, and this is a big deal, and this is what a lot of the newer markets aren't aware of. If you zero out, we auto finish the package. That's a big deal. That's like a very simple thing. You think it would be very straightforward in the space. That's not. So when I say that, what I mean is when you zero out, you cannot sell from that package again. We auto finish it. It is gone from your metric account. It's a final action in metric. We're really proud of that. And that's how we maintain. And if we're looking at the settings, so we can go, let's get into that. And we'll go into some analytics. Let's talk about some analytics. So we're not talking to Scott, you're going to get me actually talking about all the serious stuff, but this is what I'm saying.
Well, it's critical. It is critical.
It is.
Now, again, very rare do you find a dispensary operator who's just starting out that has tremendous amount of retail experience, right? They don't, generally speaking. They have management experience, ownership experience. They're entrepreneurs. But this level of detail, that's exactly what we need. We need to crunch the numbers. We need to have, some predictive analytics, so we know what the customers are looking for, what they're actually buying, what's staying on the shelves, and be able to predict what products we should be focusing on.
This is the issue. What I like to say is, and for everyone, so they know what Scott's talking about, this is the difference of a good system, bad system. Either if it's not working, you're always looking backwards, or you have no ability. And this is what we're looking at right now. We're looking at product performance. We're looking at, and we can get down to SKU level, and I can bring up everything we're looking at is customizable in terms of We can surface a version of COGS, et cetera, et cetera. This is the fun stuff. This is the stuff Scott would look at every night, okay, in terms of what SKUs are moving. But the difference is, and as I alluded to, this is actually the power of the system and power of Meadow. This is our sell-through. This is what we call SKU velocity. And this is cross-referenced by your sales window and your actual PO lead time. So let me just freebie for everyone in the room, if for those that are hiring. If you can hire anyone that has previous retail experience, one of the best dispensary operators I know, God bless him. He was an assistant manager at Target. He took to dispensary operations like that in terms of understanding the importance of counting, in terms of cycle counting, all these things. And in more specifically, because this is what's the difference in cannabis. The way the system is appropriating the SKU to the package. Ours is a 3-step workflow that's built on a purchase order. Okay. And that's very, very significant because a purchase order, and why we did that is we're appropriating the accounting, the COGS, the taxation, and then the package in one workflow. So this is what I can say is if you just do a really straightforward, if we go to inventory, really straightforward purchases. Here's some purchase orders, right? And we can look at, and you guys are getting the status paid. We get a partial payment. This is really important in cannabis. Not everyone's out there giving net 30 terms, right? We're not there yet. There ain't no banking. We can't charge it to our Chase banking. So understanding paid, partially paid, all these things, and still being able to receive and sell the inventory. If you can embrace a very core workflow, I can get you on all sales channels. And that's the difference of the system. Some of the systems literally ask you to copy and paste the package number to the SKU. It's bananas. It absolutely is bananas. Some of them don't auto-finish the packages. And once again, what that turns into in terms of day-to-day operations is exactly what you're bringing up. Instead of looking at how you can sell and what you should be selling in terms of your product mix going forward, and why that is so significant is cannabis is a seasonal industry. So if you can't put together a compelling product mix because you're not making the margins on your top sellers, as you guys know, the usual suspects are your top sellers. As the market matures, those one-to-one distro deals that you're going to get that you alluded to earlier directly from cultivation, where they're willing to give you better terms. What we say is, cookies brings them in, but you're trying to sell some of these products that are you're getting better margins on. And that's really what we're looking at in terms of like kind of how our analytics works. Everybody does analytics a little bit differently. Ours is very margin driven, it's very driven by the sell-through rate, and it's accurate. That's the biggest deal. Because everything is, we have one data set in Meadow, not 3 systems, one data set. And that's where we can do more with less. That, we're really proud of that. Questions. Do we have some questions in the chat? I love questions in the chat. Are there questions in the chat right now? Inventory, is that correct?
Yeah. So it just says here, inventories must be exact correct. You cannot say you have a quantity of, say, 5 and only have 4. Yeah, I think that's where the accuracy really does come from. Some of these other systems that I have heard about, learned about, experienced with personally, there's always a little bit of a variable there. And so accuracy matters. You don't want to put something on sale without, you don't want to put something on sale for, like, say you're going to do 20% off or whatever, and you get 10 of them in your inventory. Because you didn't have an accurate count because I wouldn't do that. I would, so I would handle that differently.
Well, you got 2 things, especially as you get it going, I think you're going to find, number one, and this is a freebie for all retail operators in the room. Pickup sales are why they're such a big deal in cannabis is what we're trying to do is affect an average cannabis customer is, you're dealing with when a dispensary is busy, a 4 to 6 minute sales time at the counter. you're really trying to train your customer base to order ahead and pick up. There's a reason for that, is because if we can slow down the the returning foot traffic, we can give our sales staff the opportunity to upsell. So we're increasing that consultative sales time to 8 to 12. That's why the online and the pickup, often people are talking, and we talked earlier a little bit about SEO. It's more like the sales channel is really the option, is really the value of the online menu. And here's our online menu here. That's what it looks like in terms of the why it's so important to have all your sales channels going, but it doesn't make a difference. And to the question, if cannabis customers hate when they order something is out of stock, like that's huge thing. They're sad.
Huge.
You guys are going to see it. It's like, as the product, like the more things are offered, they're savvy customers, and they actually benefit from the fact that there's going to be a lot of stores open. So they will be like on Weed Maps being like, these people have a deal, these people have a deal, these people have a deal, and they'll go and like buy from. But if you don't have it, oh dear
Right.
God, they get angry.
Nah, and it's cutthroat. I mean, there's a lot of dispensaries who are sitting on top of each other, because of the way the zoning was in the specific town. So competition is everything. Customer service is everything, but proper inventory management, having the products that your customer base is looking for and having it ready, that is absolutely critical.
And I'm just going through a little workflow here in terms of our online menu so everybody can see what it looks like. It's mobile friendly. We also have kiosks built into the system. Those are all included. Everything I'm saying is included. We don't nickel and dime you at all. I think what we bring to the table in terms of, I mean, Scott, I think you got it at this point. This is the way we feel about it at Meadow. Whether we like it or not, we are part of each other's team. You and us and our clients, whether we like it or not, I think the big difference at Meadow is we really embrace it. We take it seriously. We answer all of our support tickets under 7 minutes. It's our team. My clients call me all the time. And it's sometimes it's challenging, but it's also the stakes of it are so real. And I think it's treated us really well, is taking the approach like that. We try to find the teams that want to use our system. That's really, that's our core kind of ethos, is we want to help you, but you got to want to work with us, and we will give you all our resources to help you thrive. And that's how we've built, the best software. Look us up. We're the best reviewed, the best software out there for cannabis. But any other questions? Do we have more in the Q&A? Oh, Wally Wong is your full name? Yes, Joe. Wally Wong is my full name. Wally@getmeadow.com if you're interested in talking. Also, you guys shout out. We're doing our big event, Meadowlands, in October. Scott, please reach out on that. Jenna, please reach out on that. We'd love to have you guys out. That is up in the forest of Humboldt County, where, please look it up. It's an incredible event. And we're going to be doing that in the fall to try to connect the supply chain. And also, we're increasingly, those dispensary tours are a real thing. If your membership are interested in putting those together, come out to LA. And it's not just to come out to LA. I really respect the regional differences. It's more for retail operators, for me to take you to 5 different clients. You see 5 different workflows and see how it's done when they're, carrying $150,000, $250,000 of inventory from month to month. With those, we can say those operators, I've done that twice now, and it's been a really, you kind of don't know what you don't know kind of thing. And it's a different thing for me to kind of yap about it, but it's a different thing for licensees to talk to other licensees and be like, look, if we could do it again, what would we do differently if we could,
I think that the lessons learned from all these operators, and I sit on a couple different committees for some national groups, and that exchange is very important. So I hope hopefully I can take you up on that, and hopefully others do as well. But I will just say, and just as a plug for you guys, this is a very insightful, simplistic platform, just as you were showing it. And that's where, and again, I don't pretend to be I don't pretend to have retail background. I have entrepreneurial background. I have all kinds of stuff, but I really depend upon my team, and I really depend upon technology to make my decision making better, my investment strategies better, my training better, my customer service better. It's critical. So I really do like what you're showing here.
Yeah, and it is Joe Meadowlands. That is the name of the system. We just did the big announcement. We're running Flower and Flame Dispensary. We're gonna have about 7 more open. New Jersey, what is it with your local approvals? Geez Louise, I got so many clients waiting for their local approval right now. We
Yeah,
do Baked by the River as well. Shout out to Jesse and Cord.
yeah,
Wonderful. Couldn't be more proud. They were our first client. They represent everything that we like to support in terms of small business operators. If you haven't been down to Lambertville, they got something special going on there, and they're fighting the good fight against some large operators down there as well. And go give them some money and spend some money with them, because they've gone through it, and as you have, Scott.
yeah, yeah. Well, all of us are, all of us who are starting up. So talk about like local approvals. All of us are starting up, and we're in some sort of MSO ecosystem. And it's not like it was several years ago when you open up the doors and just there's a long line waiting for you on day one. You're in somebody else's world, and you have to go and define yourself. Baked by the River has done a phenomenal job in identifying, who they are, putting themselves out there, like you said. But again, you start day one with 0 customers, and your competitors got 20,000.
Yep.
So how do you make yourself known? And again, I'm making sure that you're making your internal investments are correct, and what lessons learned can we share? And like I said, I like this. I love this platform that you're sharing right now, and I like it for a lot of us who are getting started to are looking for those ease of use systems where I could just plug and play different things and pull different reports out and have a better opportunity to better understand what's moving, what's not moving, and why.
Yep. This is great. This was absolutely great. This great. I'm so glad we got to connect. Any other questions as we go forward?
Well, Joe's usually our top question asker.
Yeah, I can take
uh,
some questions if
but
anybody has any questions right now, or if we want to talk delivery. I want to be sensitive to time.
no, we're good on time. I think it really comes down to you know, Wally, what can you do that we don't want to talk about your competitors per se, but
Yeah.
you mentioned that you have one of the top ratings. All you have to do is look it up, and you'll find that you're the best ratings from amongst your customers and your peers. But just I just suppose I have a system, right? I have a point
Yeah.
of sale system that does my stuff. I want to get out of it.
Yeah.
So give me an
Migration.
example. I'm not saying me specifically, but I'm just saying some people might be in this, or 2 months, 5 months, 6 months in, and like, I see something that I prefer. I'm in this month or year long or multi-year long,
Yeah.
subscription service. How do I break in? How do I break out? Like, what do you guys do to help facilitate
Yeah.
it?
Migrations are a different
Migration.
conversation, and we do them every day. We're good at them. There's 2 pieces. Let's talk about the numbers of it all in terms of the contractual part. We will make sure that the money that the financials work. We will make sure we'll look at the terms of the agreement with the secondary provider. And like I said, I really do mean this. The number one thing is, do you want to use us? Because it's neither good for us, especially in migrations. We're very clear. Like, I'm talking fast. I'm showing some of the cool stuff.
Right.
But in migrations, what I need to do is to talk directly with your inventory manager and your front of house manager, excuse me, and say, here's what gets better. Here's what changes. Here is how you're receiving the inventory specifically and appropriating the metric packages in the system. Here's what changes. Thankfully, what we've got around that is extensive online training. And people always, at first, they like to roll their eyes, but this, I actually teach this. I teach this, our Meadow Mastery trainings at the with the city of Los Angeles, as well as workforce development programs in San Francisco and Sacramento. First off is like, I'm going to give you the walkthrough. Go take our Meadow Mastery course regarding products and purchasing. Run through it. Let me get you familiar with the core workflow, because once you get that core workflow, the purchase order workflow, you're going to be kind of good. You're going to be like 95% good. Your COGS are dialed in there. Your inventory is going to be accurate, et cetera, et cetera. The second piece, which isn't so fun, is we need to go inside your metric, and we need to go look at it, and we need to see to have a idea of the accuracy of it. Because if the system, not all systems are the same in terms of their efficacy when they make mistakes. Okay, so some of them do it in drips and drops. They do it in the background. You save a cart, right? You cancel a sale, that inventory doesn't go back into the main inventory. And this is where the systems start causing a lot of problems. And then all of a sudden it becomes a big issue like 3 months down the line. Okay, so we need to make sure it's accurate. It's okay if it's not. Let me give you a view into your future, hopefully no one has this. We've done migrations where people have, upwards of 6,000 packages unspoken for in their metric. So let me be very clear on what I mean. They have 6,000 packages that they have already sold the products, are gone from their store, and they don't know when the sale was executed, when it was,
Wow.
and we have to come in there, and those are not fun conversations. I'm dealing with one right now where they're like, because this is what it looks like. Get this thing the hell out of my store right now, because I'm facing, CDTFA, that's tax authority in California. They're auditing me right now. And every day that this thing is still in my store, it's being inaccurate. So what we have to do is we help them get to accuracy, and we have workflow around that in terms of reconciling metric to ease it, to make it a little bit easier. Then the next step is we migrate. And that isn't that bad. So what that looks like is we bring over your product catalog. We bring over all your products inside your system. And then we choose a night, preferably the 1st or the 15th for the sake of your bookkeeper, or in a slower day, and we migrate and we remap all the packages into Meadow. And then from then on, you're good. What you're really paying us for is you do not work in metric in Meadow. It's a rule. So if you went and affected your metric packages, we'd actually get a call from me or somebody from our team very quickly, being like, please do not report a sale directly in metric. That's because metric, and it's getting better. It's not as bad as it was. It's getting better. It blips. It blips. And if you're up the supply chain in terms of cultivation and distribution, it's not that big of a deal. If metrics kind of not working that great, you can kind of set your hands down. Retail doesn't benefit from that because of having to report sales. So to be very clear, we batch report sales. You don't want, here's another freebie. You do not want real-time sales reporting. You do not want it. It's a final action metric. It's a final action metric. We batch report to allow end of day to affect any line items, just like any other retail environment. Management has till end of day before we batch report the sales. Reconciliations, however, are done in real time. So anything, we have cycle counting, we have package specific labeling. So what do I mean by that? You can send a salesperson out with a scanner and an iPad, and they can scan, and it's going to submit a count directly in the system. And it's going to show you, let me see if I can bring one up. It's going to show you, here we go. This is what a submitted cycle count looks like. It's going to show you what was counted, what was expected, and the discrepancy. Cycle counts are a core workflow. If you guys aren't doing them, you should be doing them at least twice a month. minimum twice a month, but you really should be doing your product categories once a week. We simplify it with our package specific label. We make it much easier. We have QR codes that are about the tip of your pinky that make it much easier. More questions? Do we want to talk a little bit about the delivery? And
Yeah, let's talk about delivery. I think that's a growing interest in New Jersey. People are slowly but surely onboarding delivery systems.
It is, and it is, let me say this in terms of compliance, it is a jurisdiction by jurisdiction issue. So let me explain what's going on. And when I say that term, like technology is not, regulations haven't caught up to the technology. What I mean by that is, so if I go to order now, there are two prevailing models of delivery in cannabis, okay? And right here, they're called the pizza and they're called the ice cream truck. So right here, if you have it engaged on Meadow, it's literally a switch inside the system. Right here, what we're seeing here, and you can change all this language, we see standard, and this is, think pizza restaurant. Okay, and what I mean by that is 6 orders go in, your driver takes 6 orders, takes them, comes back another 6, right? So that is coming from the store's inventory. All right, all of that is directly in there. But what we have is a thing called, the other one's the ice cream truck. And if I hit this express here, you're going to see a much smaller delivery offering. So what's actually going on in the system? It's what we call dynamic delivery. It is geo-fenced delivery. So what we're able to do here inside the system is come in here, and I'm going to blow this up. We can come in here. We can even do it more specific. And we can draw on a map, create a zone. We can have an order minimum. We can have a separate delivery fee to make it worth your time. And we can, this is the important part, we can dedicate an inventory inside the system. We have specific locations called vehicles, okay? So to give you a scaled operation, like a pretty, like a modest scaled operation for our dispensary operators, we have people like full delivery teams that are running 10 cars, okay? And let me show you what this looks like in terms of inventory. They'll have 10 cars showing up with all the different inventory and all the different locations inside the system. But a more realistic operation is probably a dispensary running a car doing pizza, you know, probably Wednesday through Saturday, 2 to 8 p.m. And then on the weekends running zones. And when you're running zones, it's okay because the system, we can automate when the zones are actually taking or hours. Everything is, we can set the guardrails on it in terms of when the menu will be allowed. I think, let me say, in these first 18 months in Jersey, this is money on the table. This is to the cannabis of it all. For those of you that got into cannabis because you want to run it up, as we say, this is run it up. The operators who are running this will have an unfair advantage. Why? There's a data point around this. Your average dispensary cart, I'm sure you're aware of, Scott, you're dealing with anywhere from like $80 to $150 a cart, right? Delivery, $150 to $220, like much larger average order size. Why? Just like everything in our wonderful world, the delivery customers, Scott, if a delivery customer comes in, and this is what it looks like, somebody comes in, hey, we do delivery Wednesday through Friday, and I'll give you a promo code for 20% off your delivery order, okay? Which are easy to set up. You'll never see that person again. You'll never see that stoner again in your store for the rest of your life. They will always order delivery because they're getting their points, they're getting their rewards, and they order more because it's just like Amazon. It's just like, if it can come straight to my door, forget about it. I'm not going back to the dispensary. So that's That's the value of them. And once again, like we make it easy. Like it is like when I said it's a switch, this is the switch. If I turn it off, it's gone. It no longer does it. So that's what we bring to the table in terms of out of the box. This is just us out of the box and what we're able to do.
Yeah, this is great. This is great.
Um,
I
it-
in the way New Jersey works, you were talking about like zones and jurisdictions and whatnot. And for those who are out there listening to so the entire state is open for delivery. There's a town may not allow for example, a town may not allow a cannabis business to operate there, but there's no restriction on delivery service from an adjacent town or nearby town to deliver to a town. So
Right.
it's like, so if you're licensed to operate in whatever town you're in, you can deploy a delivery system to go wherever you choose to have your range.
And to that, we're able to import the zones. You should be aware of this, by cities, by zip code, by sales tax structures. And when we do this, and the way to think about this, let me be really clear on this, everyone, because people often get really excited about this. The idea is not set it and forget it. Okay. You have your core 1.5 mile radius around your dispensary. That's cool. But the zones where you really get into the power of them is enabling them is when it's busy, is when because let me say this to the 280E of it all. Otherwise you're just running gas. You're just burning gas, literally. You got to be a little bit strategic about it in terms of the way you use the zones. We automate a lot of it, but I think I've seen operators, especially out the gate, be like, I'm going to go out there and run 3 or 4 cars. You're burning gas is what you're doing. Or you burn electricity even if you got some Teslas out there, which we have some teams that do that. But you gotta think about it. If there's an event coming up, if there's a conference, get a zone going. Win that business, shut it down, and around we go.
Yeah, I love it.
Yep.
Well,
Go ahead.
no, Wally, I do want to wrap it up. Want to
Yep.
start.
Absolutely.
Want to
Absolutely.
get to your final thoughts on life and all that good stuff. And I have a question
Yeah.
before we do that. So say, for example, that I have a point of sale system, a compliance-based software system that I'm satisfied with, but I want to onboard maybe your delivery component.
Yeah.
How does that work? Is it the whole
You
thing?
can't do it. And this is the metric of it all.
Okay.
These systems, and this is why, to what we brought up regarding the migration and why everybody's got to take these decisions really seriously. Metric is the truth teller. It's really good at its job. So you can't have two systems pushing into one license. It just doesn't work. It throws errors. And if anybody tells you differently, do not let them do that, because it is going to screw up your metric account, not whoever told you that it's just not possible. It's because, to be very clear, and it's not rocket science, you can't have two systems pulling from the same package. It's very difficult. If you're dealing with a vertical operation, like, you guys don't have microbiz license. Microbiz means something different to New Jersey as it does in California. Microbiz licenses out here are small scale verticalizations, so you're pushing packages directly to yourself. That's a different conversation. You can't have 2 point of sales pulling out of the same packages. It's a recipe for disaster. Do not recommend it. And when in doubt, ask for references and ask how they do it and ask to see it. I'm always happy to do that. If they're like, I'll just show you, be like, show it. Let me talk to one of your clients that do that, and let me hear if there are any errors. Always push them, and any good point of sale will be able to provide that for you.
Very cool. That's great information. Great information. Wally, thank you very much, man. This has been very educational for me personally, and I hope for the crowd here, and I hope for those who watch this later on. We start to push this out on YouTube and other platforms. Before I go, I want to, Jen, if you could put it up. We have an event coming up on June 25th at Johnny Mac's. Johnny Mac's is one of our favorite locations. It's one of our networking events. A lot of always good sharing information amongst ourselves, talk to your peers and your colleagues, potential partners at our event on the June 25th at Johnny Mac's. And I also want to go back to thanking our sponsors. Again, we can't do without our sponsors. And so with that, I want to thank Financial Resources Federal Credit Union. I want to thank Township Green. I want to thank HBK CPAs, Burton Trent Public Affairs, Sprague Energy, New Jersey Cannabis Association's preferred energy provider, Dutchy and Proteas 420. Wally, what a great conversation. I really do appreciate it. It is something very worthwhile, very personal. So thank you so much.
And absolutely good to connect. Please feel free to reach out. And Scott and Jenna, thank you for having me. And you're probably going to be seeing me in the next few weeks. We're coming up there pretty soon to open some new stores. So I'll reach out to you guys. So wonderful to connect.
Keep the hustle going, brother. Keep the hustle going.
Have a great one, guys. Happy Friday.
Take care. All right, bro.